Good morning, dear students. Yesterday, we were continuing with the lesson from Snapshots, lesson number 7, the birth of an infant. And by A.J. Cronin, this lesson is, the author is A.J. Cronin, and you can learn this thing also if in exam you are asked about the poet and the authors of the poems and the short stories and the play, you can remember and you can answer small questions. So in the previous class, we have come to a point where the protagonist has saved the mother, or he has worked upon the mother when he found her flaccid lying on one side and the infant was born lifeless, right? If you remember. So he asked, now take out page number 67 in your book, right? And I'll read for you some part. First, I'll discuss where we left yesterday. After a few minutes of feverish effort, her heart strengthened. Here is the mother who was lying. After a few minutes of feverish effort, her heart strengthened. He saw that he might safely leave her. Now he got that he got or he perceived that he can leave the mother and take care of the child. And we discussed yesterday that he was very fast, very quick in doing all these things. He was not thinking now, he was doing fast, and because he had in mind that he has to save both. He swung round in his shirt sleeves, his hair sticking to the damp rope. He's sweating. Even if it is cold, he's sweating. Whatever the weather is, but in anxiety, in working hard, in his exertion, right? Yes. So, now, in a flash, Andrew knelt down. Now, before this line, I would read a line for you that is very, very important. The midwife made a frightened gesture when he asked, "Where is the child?" When this doctor asked, a protagonist asked that where is the child? Andrew. So she said the midwife made a gesture and because she had placed it beneath the bed, considering the child is born dead, right? Fine. In a flash, Andrew knelt down, fishing amongst the sodden newspapers below the bed. He pulled out the child. The midwife, the caretaker lady, has kept the child beneath the bed, which Andre knew is not right, and he will have to work on the child also, infant also. A boy perfectly formed. The limp, warm body was white and soft as tallow. Underline the word tallow, T-A-L-L-O-W. Tallow is fat from the animal body. Because it was a piece of, for the midwife, it was just a piece of flesh now. But for the doctor, it was still life there, right? And he knew how to get back that when the baby is born. So then the cord hastily slashed. The cord was cut, the umbilical cord was cut, lay like a broken stem. The skin was of a lovely texture. The skin was of lovely texture of this small baby we are talking. Smooth and tender. The head lolled on the thin neck. The limbs seemed boneless. Right? I hope you are underlining the words. If you want, I can again repeat page number 67, and now we are moving on page number 68. Let me share, if I can share with you. Yes. Yes, we have read this part, last paragraph, where is the child? And then he took out from beneath the bed, she had placed it beneath the bed. So this is very important that she had thought that now the child is no more and born dead. Still kneeling, Andrew stared at the child with a haggard frown. Now what is this haggard frown? This is tired, he's very tired. right? The whiteness meant only one thing, asphyxia. What is this state of unconsciousness, right? And then, pallida. This is also suffocated due to lack of oxygen. When the young children are born or these infants are born, these doctors have special ways to bring them to proper life. So the whiteness meant one thing, that he had, after birth, he has suffered from asphyxia, that is state of unconsciousness. He has become then pallida, then that means lack of oxygen, and his mind unnaturally tense, raced back to the case he once had seen in the Samaritan, to the treatment that had been used. Now he went back to his experience that he has seen. We solve our questions on the basis of our previous experiences a lot. It's not a question here. He is taking a real exam. He is working real hard and responsible. Instantly he was on his feet. Get me hot water and cold water, he threw out to the nurse. And basins too. Basins? Vessel sort of things. Quick, quick. But doctor, she faltered, her eyes on the pallid body of the child. But doctor, there's a meaning in this phrase, but doctor. What is the meaning here? The meaning here is that, but doctor, the child is born, dead. And but doctor, she faltered, her eyes on the pallid body of the child, lifeless body, or where there is no feeling coming that the child is breathing or like that. Quick, he shouted. Snatching a blanket, he laid the child upon it and began the special method of respiration. So I said he is taking an exam and he is trying all what he has learned. And this was his practical experience which he was applying. The basins arrived, the ewer, the big iron kettle. Now what is this word ewer? You can underline, dear children. This is a jug sort of thing, right? A vessel again, and a big iron kettle. And frantically he splashed cold water into one basin. Frantically, quickly, again quickly, he splashed cold water into one basin, into the other. He mixed water as hot as his hand could bear, because he will use both the cold water as well as the warm water. So he dipped his hand so the skin can bear, and he is going to apply to the baby. So he checked everything into the other, frantically he splashed cold water into one basin, into the other he mixed water as hot as his hand could bear. Then, like some crazy juggler like a magician, then like a crazy juggler, he hurried the child between the two, now plunging it into the icy, now into the steaming bath, once into the cold water and then into the warm water, then again into the cold and into the warm. Maybe he has learned, he remembered this when during his one of his experiences while seeing someone doing this in his learnings and while during his study period. So 15 minutes passed. Sweat was now running into Andrew's eyes, blinding him. One of his sleeves hung down, dripping. His breath came pantingly. He was panting now, right? Breathing hard, but no breath came from the lax body of the child. The loose body of the child did not come back to life. When you're trying hard in your efforts and you don't get results, still we have learned that even if we fail, those failures are not failures because they leave us rich with the experiences. So this is the another thing, that whether the child will come back to those senses and all or not, but he is giving his 100%. This is more important. A desperate sense of defeat pressed on him, a raging hopelessness. He became hopeless also. While working hard, there comes a time when you become hopeless. Again, you gather yourself and move on. He felt the midwife watching him in stark consternation. Please underline. Terrified situation, stark consternation, shock, terror. The midwife who was to help the lady, or the mother who was standing, 70-year-old mother, to help this woman, and even the doctor in assisting, or like a nurse, but she was sure that the baby is not there. While there, he felt the midwife watching him in stark consternation, while there, pressed back against the wall where she had all the time remained, her hand pressed to her throat, uttering no sound, her eyes burning upon him. Was the old woman now this another woman in the house? That was the mother. He was standing by the same wall as she was standing when he had come to their house, and her hands on her throat, right? Pressed and uttering no sound, utter silence, but eyes burning upon him, on the doctor, maybe of requesting for help, maybe that you had promised us. He remembered her longing for a grandchild. And he remembered that when he had come, she had expressed that we are desperately, we are very excitedly waiting for the child, as great as had been her daughter's longing for the child. So daughter, as well as the grandmother, all dashed away now, futile beyond remedy. Now all his efforts were going futile. This much is clear, dear students. Your responses are awaited. Very good. So that we can move further. The floor was now a draggled mess. The floor has become a messy place, vessels, jugs, water, lukewarm water, hot water, and what not. Stumbling over a sopping towel. Right? Now he stumbled. Stumbled means walked with unsteady movements, and so Andrew almost dropped the child, which was now wet and slippery in his hands like a strange white fish. For mercy's sake, doctor, whimpered the midwife, it's stillborn. So the midwife said that it is stillborn. Stillborn means without life. Please check the meaning here. It's stillborn means there is no life in the child, in the baby. Andrew did not heed her. He did not pay attention to her. It was very obvious that he was a learned person. He was a learned doctor, and she was a midwife who was to help. Maybe she was experienced, but he has learned in a better way as a doctor. So beaten, despairing, having labored in vain for half an hour, he still persisted in one last effort. He thought of taking one last effort, doing one last effort, rubbing the child with a rough towel, crushing and releasing the little chest with his hands, trying to get breath into that limp body. Right? Kindly go through the glossary words that are given, meanings and all given in the book also, and whatever we are sharing. And then, as by miracle, the pygmy chest, right, which his hands enclosed, gave a short, convulsive heave. Another and another, and Andrew turned giddy. Sudden in doing his effort, because he could feel that heave, right? Pygmy chest, small chest. Now the word pygmy is used here for small. So that small chest, which his hands enclosed, gave a short, convulsive heave, right? Sudden heave, convulsive, sudden heave. Okay, and another. Andrew turned giddy. Now, the sense of life springing beneath his fingers. Okay, and after all that unavailing striving, that useless striving was so exquisite, was so strong that his efforts could be seen, and it almost made him faint. Giddy here, he is feeling for that only. Though he can feel signs of life, but he is now about to fall. or he is, see the lines, they are of success, but he is very much tired, because from hopelessness to hopefulness, or to journeying from as if you are lost or you have lost the battle, and then you find out no, you have not lost the battle. There are lot of efforts. So the sense of life springing beneath his fingers. He could feel that there is life now beneath my fingers. And after all that unavailing striving was so exquisite, it almost made him faint. He redoubled his efforts feverishly. The child was gasping now, deeper and deeper. A bubble of mucus came from one tiny nostril, a joyful iridescent bubble. Now this bubble came out from the nose, and he's calling it colorful because it is full of life. The limbs were no longer boneless. The head no longer lay back spinelessly now. The child was now not loose that way as it was lying. The blanched skin was slowly turning pink. The skin which had been put into lukewarm water and cold water and then rubbed by the towel that the cloth that he used, and with his hands, and now the skin was turning pink. Then exquisitely came the child's cry. Dear Father in heaven, the nurse sobbed hysterically. Now it has come, it has come alive. So for them, it was a gone child who has come back to life. And, hysterically, in an uncontrolled way, she started sobbing, crying. Now these were not the tears of that sadness which they were suffering from. They have been suffering since these few hours. It's it has come alive. Andrew handed her the child. He felt weak and dazed. About him, the room lay in a shuddering litter. Now the room was completely scattered and littered with blankets, towels, basins, soiled instruments, the hypodermic syringe, right, impaled by its point in the linoleum. Now, so, fixed by, and the ewer knocked over. The jug was falling from here and there when he was maybe stumbling or walking. The kettle on its side in the puddle of water. And upon the huddled bed, the mother still dreamed her way quietly through the anesthetic. The mother was quiet and sleeping. The old woman still stood against the wall, but her hands were together in prayer. Her lips moved without sound. She was praying. Mechanically, Andrew wrung out the sleeve, pulled on his jacket. I'll fetch my bag later, nurse. He went downstairs through the kitchen into the scullery, where the dishes are washed and maybe some arrangement is there for drinking water and all. His lips were dry. At the scullery, he took a long drink of water. He reached for his hat and coat. Outside, he found Joe standing, the father of the baby, on the pavement with a tense, expectant face. What happened? All right, Joe, he said thickly. Both all right. It was quite light, nearly 5 o'clock. A few miners were already in the streets, the first of the night shift moving out, as Andrew walked with them and spent and slow, his footfalls echoing with the others under the morning sky. He's relaxed. When he's moving, his steps are, echoing with the other people's steps. He's relaxed, light, right? His footfalls echoing. And he kept thinking blindly, oblivious to all other work he had done in Blenley, this particular town. He remembers now only this work, which is very fresh in his memory, but very, very fruitful, very, very life-giving, not only to the baby, but to him also. Very, very lively, right? And I have done something. God, I have done something real at last. So dear students, this is the conclusion, the last part of the lesson. And see the last line, God, I have done something real at last. So God, I have done something real at last. So he doesn't oblivious, forgetful of what all he had done in this particular town as a doctor, as a youngster, or as a student, as a responsible citizen. But this was the most important thing that he has done in his life. Right? I hope you have understood the lesson, how he has saved and disposed of his duties, taken his duties, and when he had come there, he was not so present. He was lost. He was somewhere else. But when he put himself into his work, into his duty, he was a new Andrew. He was a new person, completely a responsible one, a generous one, a dedicated one, diligent, dexterous. So all qualities of, this protagonist come when we come to know that he went home very, very happy. Right, dear students, I hope you have understood. Here we finish with this lesson. If you have any queries, you can ask. Thank you, dear all.